One of the luxuries of where I live is the sushi restaurant slash bar and grill downstairs. On occasion, I like to go down there and have me a drink in solitude and take in people, observe people. And on one such day that I was people watching, I overheard a group of young men talking about, the things that young men talk about. They talk about women, they talk about their cars, they talk about, those things that a 20-something-year-old young man might talk about. And it dawned on me over the course of the conversation, as they spoke about women, they spoke of women in relation to the things that they possessed as young men. Each one of them was trying to one-up the other one. One bragged about his Porsche. One bragged about his truck. And while I was listening to them talk, I thought to myself, if only I could be their age with what I know now. And it's become a bit of a cliche when you hear that, if only I knew then what I know now. These young men equate their value to the material possessions that they have. Now, my question for them is, what happens when and if you lose those material possessions? All of these guys were young and handsome. They all had or possessed some kind of material item that women found appealing. They spoke of their jobs, the new promotion. One spoke of where he was going to take a young lady he was trying to date. He wasn't even in the act of dating her. He was trying to date her. And I guess apparently she was completely content to let him spend his money on her and consume his financial resources as he would give them. I think young men get mixed up with what perceived power is and what actual power is. Perceived power works like this. So long as you have those items that these young men are talking about, they give off the impression and imitation of power. The moment that their standing with those material items is compromised, the women are gone. Many friends are gone. Their standing is gone. What separates the illusion of power as opposed to true power is real simple. A man that possesses power won't lose much of anything outside of the material goods that he once possessed when he truly has power. When a man has power, it's not about what he has, materialistically speaking. It's about what he emits. I'm an artist. I am working a job that is not classy or worth bragging about by any stretch of the imagination. I don't own a car. And yet all of these things that these young men are spending tens of thousands of dollars upon are the same things that I had without resorting to spending myself into oblivion. Why was that? Many women gravitate to men with their own universes. And when you have your own universe, you emit a light that says, there is something important about me and worth knowing. And when you do that, you do it without consideration of a woman's approval or praise or admiration. You do it because that's what you do. That's power. Because it exists whether or not she co-signs on your importance. It exists despite what anybody else thinks of you. And more often than not, that light usually is such that people naturally come around. And the beauty of it is that since you're not doing it for them, the loss of them doesn't mean as much to you. And that's one of the hardest things about cultivating inner power as a man, is doing it for the sake of self instead of to impress others. That's very difficult to do. Self-motivation and actualization is difficult. And I found that out. It took me 45 years to get to where I'm at. But once I arrived here, it was a great place to be. Now, granted, all the things that are at my fingertips, I don't even take advantage of. I could probably be with whichever woman I desired to be with, and that's not a boast. It simply illustrates that I have something intangible that women are interested in because I do lack all of the other things. But I don't have an interest in that. I don't have an interest in garnering a woman's attention. I have an interest in commanding human respect. But beyond that, my need for their validation is gone. And when that left, I had to find another way to motivate myself. And this is something that young men don't focus on. They focus on motivation through impressing others. There will come a time when you don't have all of those attributes, physical or materialistically speaking. You won't be a thoroughbred for the rest of your life. If I had have known what I know now, I would have planned to be an old man before I became an old man. That would have given me immense power. My prowess at all those things that I learned along the way could have been applied to me at 23, 24. I can only imagine what that would have been like. And, perhaps it's unfair of me to want to instill that in young men. And maybe it's the game is of such that it isn't fair to ask that of young men. But imagine if we could attain the wisdom at that early of an age to do great things through our own inner voice and our own inner drive, where we would be as men. I'm older now, and I'm wise, but a lot of my wisdom is no longer applicable. Some of it still is. But to live a life that is as clear and as structured as possible is a gift. And to know what humanity really is about is also a gift. And I guess it could be perceived as a curse because there's a certain degree of cynicism that you have to get beyond once you arrive at this point. Once you arrive at the point of true reality, you have the decision to adopt it or to fight against it. So there's two camps of people. There are people that say, why can't it be this way? And they struggle with the way that it is. And then there are people that operate within the way that it is. I'm one of those people. There are a lot of things that I wish in our society were not the norm, but they are. And the perception of power is one of those. People don't support the quote-unquote good anymore. They support the powerful or the perceived powerful. My take on power is that you don't have to be the President of the United States to exude power. You simply have to believe in the universe that you've created. And you have to live up to the hype that you've created. And when you do that, anything real easily stands before anything that's not real. And you will shatter the illusions of power around you with little effort. What do you think of power? What do you think of inner power as opposed to the illusion of it? Hit that like button and let's dialogue about the power that we possess as individuals. Take care.